This Birkin bag at Hermés boutique will cost you 38,000 USD. But what is the real cost out of the factory?
Viral TikToks from Chinese factory workers. The internet is now in a frenzy over claims that some of the most iconic designer bags are actually born in the East.
Our artisans, they need to do 4 years of training to be able to manufacture a Kelly bag. This that you've just seen, the perlage, you need to be very skilled and very, very good.
Chinese manufacturers have allegedly come forward, and luxury will never be the same. What if the planet's most coveted handbag, the one celebrities cradle like a newborn and billionaires store in vaults, was born closer to Guangzhou than to the Champs-Élysées? The question alone has sent fashion obsessives spiraling ever since a Chinese factory owner filmed himself standing beside rows of fresh-stitched Birkin twins, boasting that the only thing missing was the Hermès logo. The clip clocked 10 million views in a week and ignited the hashtag the Birkin Gate. For decades, we accepted the dreamy marketing reel. Sun-dappled French ateliers, lone artisans hunched over buttery calfskin, slow fashion at its finest. Yet the TikTok whistleblower shredded that fantasy in 60 seconds. He rattled off a cost sheet so surgical, it would make Wall Street bankers blush. Togo leather, $450 a hide. Fil Oshinois thread, $25. 316 ocean-grade steel hardware, $150. Edge paint, lambskin lining, Riri zipper, another $160. Chinese labor, $600. Total, roughly $1,400, less than many buyers tip their personal shoppers.
Hermès, you guys, it's time to show off your factories. No, I don't want to wait to go on YouTube and watch a beautiful documentary and show them off right here on TikTok. Let the world see. Okay, get like China. You gotta be ghetto about it. Just let people know.
So where does the extra $36,000 go? Straight into the logo, says the man behind the video, and legions of viewers agree. They call it the luxury tax on ego, a bill we gladly sign for a whiff of exclusivity. Hermès, after all, perfected an emotional algorithm, manufacture scarcity, whisper wait lists, and make purchase feel like knighthood. When you finally land a bag, you're paying for the invitation to a club whose doors are forever almost closed. Origins of a legend. The disillusionment stings because the Birkin mythology is unusually romantic. Official lore dates to 1984, when actress-singer Jane Birkin spilled the contents of her straw basket on an Air France flight. Seated beside her was Hermès chief executive Jean-Louis Dumas. Legend says Dumas sketched the silhouette on an air sickness bag, promising to create a roomy yet elegant tote for young mothers. That cocktail of serendipity and Parisian savoir-faire hardened into gospel. Each Birkin would be hand-sewn in France by a single craftsperson who trained 5 years before touching your bag. Owning one felt like holding a small slice of aviation history in 20th century cool. Fast forward 40 years and global demand outstrips even Hermès's gift for rationing. The brand issues perhaps 70,000 Birkins a year, but resale platforms list north of 200,000 active listings. Where do the extras come from? Shadow capacity, says logistics analyst Priya Menon of Geneva-based firm SupplySite. Major maisons outsource overflow to partner workshops in Spain, Turkey, Vietnam, and yes, China. They have to, or they'd leave billions on the table.
Will Hermès says, made in China, does it feel cheaper? No, that's not a quality issue. It's luxury brand washing.
My house is on fire. I would take this one out of all of them.
Follow those raw materials and the rabbit hole deepens. 3 renowned tanneries, MPG in Italy, Weinheimer in Germany, an undisclosed French supplier, ship the very same hides to Chinese workshops where the bags are largely assembled before a quick hop to Europe for a final touch. Industry insiders call it passport polishing. Reattach a handle, buff a clasp, and voila, legal grounds for a made in France tag. One factory boss went further, claiming around 80% of all luxury bags are born in China. That number is hotly contested, yet the glimpse behind the curtain was enough to spark digital fury. In April, where Birkingate amassed over 100 million TikTok views, splintering viewers into camps, the duped, the deniers, and the deal hunters snapping up logo-free twins for a grand apiece. Memes flooded feeds. It's not a bag, it's a Chinese import with French subtitles. Influencers posted tear-filled unboxings titled, "I spent $30,000 on a lie." Brands scrambled. Louis Vuitton slipped a new disclaimer customer onto its site, detailing final assembly in France, globally sourced components. Prada tweaked copy within hours. Hermès chose silence. No statement, no Q&A, not even a perfunctory, "we value craftsmanship." That hush amplified suspicion, especially after California shoppers filed an antitrust lawsuit accusing the house of forcing pre-spend purchases on scarves and jewelry before granting Birkin access. Plaintiffs argue the practice violates U.S. competition law and inflates resale prices by design. If origin labeling proves deceptive, the complaint could metastasize into outright fraud claims under FTC made-in rules, which carry 7-figure penalties. And that's not all. The timing could not be worse. President Trump's rebooted tariff war slapped 145% levy on most Chinese imports in April, then trimmed it to 30% for a 90-day cool-off. Fashion supply chains are now playing musical chairs while lawyers debate who foots the bill. Retail analysts warn that any proof of clandestine Chinese production could expose Hermès to back duties and customers to sticker shock just when luxury growth is already wobbling. Investors smell smoke. LVMH, the sector's bellwether, posted 20.3 billion euros Q1 revenue. Solid yet market chatter fixated on resilience rather than roaring expansion. Analysts on the earnings call peppered management about transparency pledges and origin tracking tech. Rival houses fear the contagion. If Hermès falls from its pedestal, who's safe? Gucci? Dior? Your favorite street-style darling might be next in line for the microscope. Meanwhile, authentication services are scrambling. Their million-dollar UV scanners and microchip databases were built to sniff out fakes, not half-truths. If a genuine Hermès is stitched in Guangdong, finished in Lyon, and sold as French, what exactly are they authenticating? Platforms admit privately that provenance certificates may need blockchain backups or even live feed factory cams to satisfy the newly skeptical elite. Lost in the furor are the voices inside those Chinese workshops. In Xiling, a dubbed handbag city, pattern cutter Liang Wei says his team can mimic any European stitch down to 0.1 millimeter. We study Hermès. Their saddle stitch is classic but not sacred. He shrugs, fingers flying through a practice seam. Liang earns about 12,000 yuan a month, roughly $1,650. Triple the local average, yet still a rounding error beside a Birkin's retail price. I'm proud when my work is perfect, he adds, even if my name never leaves the building. That pride complicates the ethical calculus. If Liang's craftsmanship is indistinguishable from a Parisian's, does geography justify a 25-fold markup? Sustainability scholar Dr. Amara Nkrumah argues the mystique is itself unsustainable. Luxury brands preach carbon neutrality, yet flying parts across 3 continents to massage a label is ecological theater, she says. Consumers increasingly connect origin opacity with environmental hypocrisy. 35% of Gen Z luxury buyers say country of origin labeling now affects purchase decisions, up from 9% in 2020 per a Bain & Company Pulse poll. Vintage reseller Fashion File reports a 22% spike in Birkin listings within 2 weeks of the scandal, suggesting some collectors are cashing out early. At the opposite extreme, Sotheby's recorded its second highest Birkin hammer price ever, $397,000 for a diamond-encrusted Himalaya, arguing that true grails operate beyond daily headlines. That split echoes stock market behavior around corporate scandals, a knee-jerk sell-off followed by opportunistic accumulation. Volatility is where arbitrageurs eat, notes investment strategist Carlos Ortiz.
These are pieces of artwork. These artisans train years and years to make one of these bags.
Fabrice is doing the last stitching on a Kelly bag. A Kelly takes around 13 hours to be made, depending on the materials that we make it.
If Hermès resolves the noise, today's panic sellers will look foolish. If it snowballs, they'll look prescient. Luxury resellers feel the tremor too. Some flippers are liquidating Birkins before prices tumble, others hoard, gambling on a future shortage if Hermès pauses production to clean house. Industry gossip hints that select colors and sizes have already seen allocation freezes, though boutique staff chalk it up to seasonal assortment changes. Critics say the entire uproar is a geopolitical chess match masquerading as consumer outrage. They point to Chinese state media amplifying the factory videos right after Washington hiked tariffs, a neat counterpunch in the soft power arena. Western commentators counter that global brands invited scrutiny by wrapping secrecy in silk ribbons for decades. Whichever side you take, transparency is fast becoming the new status symbol. Consumers have noticed. Apps like Provenance, Aura, and Open Luxury now let shoppers scan a QR code and trace a a handbag's life story from hide to hardware. European regulators are drafting stricter origin rules that close the last step loophole, while the US FTC has signaled tougher enforcement after a string of high-profile labeling fines. A decade ago, provenance was niche trivia. In 2025, it's dinner party currency. But that's not all. Tech giants smell opportunity. Apple's Vision Pro headset already offers an X-ray retail plugin. Point the device at a bag and watch overlay graphics narrate its supply chain, carbon footprint, and labor score. Early beta testers rave that the feature makes luxury windows feel like interactive museum exhibits. The real coup would be a universal provenance ledger, but convincing rival maisons to share data looks about as likely as Louboutin making Crocs. All of this raises the existential question: what is luxury in the post-Mystique era? Is it geography, craftsmanship, scarcity, or simply a story we choose to believe? As one Shanghai-based designer quipped, "A cow is a cow is a cow. Only the passport changes." Younger buyers increasingly favor small artisan brands that live stream every stitch. They crave narrative integrity over gate-kept glamour. Even wine and fine jewelry feel the tremors. Bordeaux Chateau now publish satellite snapshots of their vineyards during harvest to deter rumors of bulk grape blending. Swiss watchmakers flirt with made in planet Earth disclaimers to preempt scrutiny about outsourced movements. The slope is slippery. Once you lift the curtain, consumers may demand to see the whole backstage. Yet the Birkin spell hasn't vanished. Psychology runs deeper than production maps. Owning the bag still signals access, wealth, and taste, even if that taste now carries a whiff of cognitive dissonance. For some, the scandal adds intrigue, a forbidden subplot that makes the trophy juicier. For others, it's a deal breaker. The split itself may prove Hermès' biggest challenge. How do you sell fantasy to an audience schooled in factory exposés? Silence won't cut it forever. Market historians note that reputation, once cracked, rarely heals without a public reckoning. Think Volkswagen's diesel fiasco or Samsung's Note 7. Both companies survived, but only after mea culpas, recalls, and sweeping reforms. Could Hermès swallow that bitter pill? Would it livestream its ateliers, publish supplier lists, or slap a globally crafted final touch in France badge on every box? Doing so might sacrifice a century of mystique, yet refusing risks irrelevance in an age that prizes receipts over romance. And so we arrive at the real price tag: trust. Strip away logos, influencer hype, and Instagram filters, and luxury's core currency is belief. Once belief wavers, the product, no matter how exquisite, turns back into stitched-together animal hide. So next time you spot that iconic silhouette gliding down a red carpet or resting beside a cappuccino, pause. Are you admiring a masterpiece of heritage craftsmanship or the world's most expensive passport stamp? Maybe the answer doesn't matter. Maybe luxury has always thrived on cognitive dissonance. We pretend rarity is pure, brands pretend margins are thin, and everyone enjoys the theater. But the stage lights have brightened. The audience holds smartphones and the actors can feel the glare. Birkin Gate will fade, yet its aftershocks will ripple through every gilded storefront that still leans on shadows. Sound off in the comments. Would you still drop 5 figures on a Birkin today, or has the magic worn thin? Either way, keep those receipts. This conversation is only getting started.